Okay, welcome back to more Armchair Conversations. This one's probably going to be a little shorter and simpler, but I want to talk about relaxing into your goals. Uh, let's see. Say we talked a little bit about success in one of these, and we were talking about what it means to you and defining what that is, and realizing that all of your successes, that both big and small, are important, and how the small ones sometimes build up into the bigger ones. And how a lot of times when people look at the highlight reels, they don't realize the hours and hours that are backstory to that success that they saw. Um, but I want to talk a little bit more about how to get there a little more relaxed. Because, sometimes when you have a goal and you get really excited about it and you feel like um, you just have to like hammer and stomp and scream to that goal. You can't relax. You can't um, be off, have an off day. You always got to be on, and I do like the saying I heard from a piece of a talk I saw on YouTube where the guy says that the light switch of a champion is always on. It's never off. It's constant. But I don't know that he meant it in the way that it sounded at first when I first heard it. Um, I think it's constant that you hammer out the little things every day, because he also mentioned that in his talk. Um, so I'm going to talk a little bit about how I feel like it would be helpful to relax on your way to your goal. Um, because sometimes the little things hammered out over time, when you sort of forget at times that you're on your way to a certain thing, uh, you'll get there sometimes a little bit faster, or at least it'll seem a little faster. Because a lot of times when you want to get somewhere, you can drive yourself crazy trying to get there, put all kinds of judgments on it, uh, tell yourself that, you're never going to get there because you haven't done it in this time frame, in this way, with this particular thing, person, place, thing, whatever. Okay. And I think that this might be useful to those of you who get too wound up on their goals, and it makes them feel bad when they have all these preconceived notions about when, how, where, and why, and all those things that they're going to achieve it. So let's say you want to build a wall. And I like this one. I took this one from Will Smith. Talked about this once on an interview he gave. He was talking about how his father tore down a wall in front of the shop, and he told the boys to build it back, and they said they couldn't do it. And he told them to do it brick by brick, brick by brick. So, they sat down one brick, and then the next, and then the next, and then the next. And eventually they had a wall. And he told them, now to realize not to think you can't do something. That if you put your mind to it and you're willing to take the pieces, you can do just about damn near anything. Well, I want to take and add something to that I found to be useful in my life as far as getting somewhere, because basically at this age in my life, I'm starting over. I've already had a marriage, I've had children, debts, um, and all the things that sometimes we think we want, and they don't always turn out quite like the movies or the books that we read and take such joy in experiencing the written word and the video of the life that we think we want to lead. But what I find myself doing now is having to piece by piece hammer out successes, and to do more training behind the highlight reels that I want to create. And I found that it doesn't go as fast as you like. I don't think it goes as fast as anybody likes. But I think that, over time, you can still get there if you don't drive yourself crazy in the process. And what I mean by that is, um, it's things like, you know, saving money towards your goals of being financially independent, or um, reading a little bit every day about a subject that you're interested in, without the idea that you must be an expert in a year. or 2 years or whatever, and just enjoying it for the joy of the thing that you're interested in. I think when you're able to do that, you may look up and find yourself arriving at your destination a lot sooner than if you tried to absolutely be laser focused present every step of the way, um, which usually leads to burnout because let's face it, most of our attention spans can't even do the prerequisite, what they call it, 17 seconds to focus on something to bring the energy to bear to start the process of bringing the ethereal into reality. Okay, so why would you think that focusing incessantly on every little detail of your journey toward a goal is going to somehow make it materialize faster? No, it's going to burn your ass out and drive you crazy. And then you're probably not going to get there, which then gives you more fodder for the part of you that's negative that wants to tell yourself you can't do something or look, see, I told you so, in a negative way. So, hammer it out slowly. Do things every day towards your goal without feeling like you have to be in a certain place. Um, Case in point, I'm talking to you guys on the camera. This is my third or fourth time talking in the just starting this process. But I decided instead of trying to wait for myself to have the perfect face and the perfect clothes and the perfect body to stand up here to look fit and healthy and successful, that I just start talking. Okay, because it's something I always wanted to do. And I love having conversations with people about things that matter to me, and ideas and concepts and how to apply them in your life. And taking little pieces of things and building something more eclectic as far as a philosophy toward going for something. So I said, you know what? Put the camera out there, start talking to people. Don't worry about what you're wearing. Don't worry about, what your face looks like. If you got a trim, if you got that lined up, as they say, and just talk to people and hammer it out over time and start to enjoy it. And maybe just to get over your fear of thinking that everybody's going to be like, oh my God, put it out there on YouTube just like it is with all its imperfect glory, and start to just get used to the idea that your stuff's out there and it's never going to be perfect, and you do it piece by piece, and then eventually you'll be a speaker and you'll be somebody that people will listen to, and there'll be people out there even in this stage that will enjoy you. So relax. I feel like it's the same for any goal. If you have an idea of some of the things you need to do to get you closer to where you want to be, do them piece by piece. Don't do them with the idea that they are bricks to be finishing this gigantic wall. Just do that thing that day. Okay? If you want to learn about martial arts, from a philosophy standpoint, pick up a book, the Tao Te Ching, a book that interests you, whatever the subject and type and style, and read a little bit of it. You ain't got to read a whole chapter. Okay, people tell you all that crap all the time, and that's cool. And for those who can do it, I'm not decrying you. But for most of us who can't, read a couple pages. If your life is busy and you got kids, you got to shuttle them everywhere, and you got things to do, and you got to cook and clean and sew, you know what? Read a few pages. You don't have to read a chapter, and read a few more pages the next time. I'm not even going to say tomorrow. I'm going to say the next time. Yeah, that's right. You heard me. The next time. You don't force everything. Okay, sometimes you just have to relax and do it when you can, because that adds up too. So the next time you read a few more pages, and the next time you read a few more. If you do it long enough and you stick with it long enough without necessarily always pushing yourself, it's not that you should never push yourself, but just, start out and do something and enjoy it. You probably finish that book sooner than you think. And then the next one, or the movie that you want to see about it, or a documentary, or you may begin writing about it, whatever it is, but you probably finish it sooner. Because that sense of striving and friction causes restriction. Friction slows everything down. Okay, it's its job. But relaxing and being smooth with things and creating less friction is going to let things flow farther and maybe even faster. And so you may find that you don't get burnt out on the journey to something that you want or that you want right now. And what I mean by that is, okay, let's say you want to be a great accountant, and I know jack snap about accounting, but say you want to be a great accountant, and you start reading books about accounting and studying classes about supply and demand and economic principles and all this stuff. But instead of doing it from the spirit of joy, where, okay, I'm doing this, and I know I want to kind of be over here, but right now I'm just enjoying this book, this chapter, this whatever, and you start forcing yourself to read every day, and somebody says you must study 3 hours a day to become blah blah blah, and then you got to be here in 3 months and here in 6 months. And I'm not knocking that, but for most of us, that's going to take the joy out of the thing that you want, unless that's what you want to do. Now, if that's what you want to do, do it. But most people have a joy about something. When you force them into a hole or into a dogma, I'm going to say dogma just because, or a rigor of having to do something every day, it takes some of the joy out of it. And you may find that before they even get finished, they don't want to do it anymore. And so I'm not a believer in that for most people. The people that enjoy that rigor and that discipline, they're going to do it anyway. But for those of us who feel like we have to do it that way to become what we wish or to be successful, and don't really, that's not our nature, are not going to be happy doing that. And they're probably going to give up early, or they're going to hate what they do later because now it's become a chore instead of a joy. Um, it's like professional bodybuilders. I know a few guys that actually compete in shows. And I was amazed at how much they hate training. Some people love it, okay, and I'm probably one of those, okay. But I also don't diet and get ready for shows. I bodybuild for the joy of it, and I haven't really done a competition. I'm sure that'll be a thread of hate for some people because, but anyway, um, but when it gets to be to a point where this is your job and this is your livelihood and you depend on this and not only this, like this is your sole source of income because maybe you're a champion bodybuilder and you've been that for a long time, like a Victor Martinez or a Kai Green or Phil Heath or some of those guys. And I say Victor Martinez because I saw some video where it was obvious that this was his job and it wasn't something he was enjoying anymore. Um, when it gets to that point, then what you love then becomes what you hate, and it robs you of some of the joy of your life. I know that it takes a lot to win, and then that's a conversation we'll have someday about what it takes sometimes to win. But when it becomes such a drudgery in your quest for a goal that it's no longer fun to you, maybe that's not the way for you. Maybe you need to consider the approach I'm espousing here at this moment, which is little things hammered out over time, not necessarily on a set schedule, and relax and know that eventually you will get there if you don't try so damn hard. So anyway, I wanted to keep it short, but basically sometimes you have to, in my opinion, hammer out little things over time and not make them insurmountable or daunting. Or my significant other often says, overhaul your whole life in 6 weeks or 12 weeks or whatever. And again, I'm not against it, but there's a lot of people who don't fit that mold. And I'm speaking to you guys today. Those of you who do not fit that mold, I am talking directly to you and telling you, as if you need my opinion or support, that it's okay to not be that way. And you can still get to where you want to go, still be what you want to be, and still do what you want to do without having this rigid, drudgery ridden, rigorous method to getting to your goal. So, bottom line, relax, hammer little things out over time. If you don't like a set schedule, don't have one. Do it when you feel it, do it when you're able, and do it because of the joy of it. And you may find yourself winding up being just the same place as the person who maybe liked that drudgery and rigor, but you maybe got there with a little bit less stress, a little bit more joy, and being able to sustain the thing that you achieve for longer because it's not a job to you anymore. Because if you find what you love, they say you'll never work a day in your life. Well, I think that you should never work a day in your life. You should try to do the things that you love. I know work is necessary, but when you're doing things you love and you're doing things you want to do, and you're doing things that are interesting to you, it just doesn't feel the same as something you have to show up for that you really don't want to do. Think about that. Anyway, just hitting you with that, playing around a little bit. Appreciate you, and I thank you, and I hope you have some fun today. Peace.